NASA thought 3I/ATLAS was a lone wanderer until four more objects appeared, all moving in the same mysterious rhythm, crossing Earth's orbital path within days of each other. One glowed green, another trailed for millions of miles, one split in two, and one was completely dark. Data shows they're synchronized, but how could nature create such precision? Coincidence or coordination? Let's dive right in. When the first data stream appeared on NASA's Minor Planet Center feed, no one paid attention. Just another faint flicker, the kind that turns out to be a cosmic ray, a sensor glitch, or a false detection from overlapping exposures. But within days, that flicker was confirmed by 4 different observatories, all thousands of miles apart. And that's when things stopped making sense. 4 separate signals, 4 objects, all inbound, all crossing Earth's orbital path, not over centuries or decades, but within a single week. The probability of that happening by chance? Less than 1 in 50 million. It wasn't just rare, it was wrong. Soon, the world's most advanced telescopes locked onto them, revealing 4 very different visitors, yet somehow all dancing to the same rhythm. That pattern would soon be known as the harmonic corridor, an invisible highway through space, carved not by gravity but by something far more deliberate. The first one to arrive glowed like a living ember. Astronomers called it the Green Wanderer. Officially, it was catalogued as C/2025 P1, a small, fast-moving comet with a distinct emerald hue. The color came from diatomic carbon, which wasn't strange in itself. What was strange was how violently it glowed. Every hour it got brighter, not gradually, but exponentially. The readings behaved like a system charging itself, as if it was storing the very sunlight that hit it. That's not how comets work. They reflect light, they don't react to it. Yet this one did. Its energy curve spiked higher than any natural object its size should ever reach. Some called it a supercharged comet. Others weren't so sure, because when its path was plotted, it fit perfectly into a narrow corridor that would later line up with 3 other objects. Something was guiding it, and that something wasn't random gravity. A few nights later, a second anomaly appeared, Comet Lemon. It wasn't new. Astronomers had seen it years earlier, catalogued it, and moved on. But suddenly, Lemon reignited with terrifying intensity. Its coma, the glowing halo of gas around it, ballooned to nearly 100 million kilometers, stretching across space like a filament of light. It should have faded long before it got that big, yet the opposite happened. It brightened, pulsed, and stayed perfectly aligned with the Green Wanderer's path. And then came the chemical signatures, high levels of iron and sodium, far above what solar heating could explain. The pattern of ejection wasn't chaotic either. It was timed, regular rhythmic bursts every few hours. Those who studied the data quietly admitted the truth no one dared to say publicly. Lemon was adjusting its own trajectory. It wasn't drifting, it was steering. The 2 comets now moved as if they were connected, separated by millions of kilometers, yet mirroring each other's rhythm. By the time Suchinshin Atlas entered the picture, the tension in every observatory control room was palpable. Unlike the others, this one flickered, dimming and flaring every 9 hours, with perfect precision. At first, it was written off as surface rotation, but deeper scans showed something that froze analysts mid-report. There weren't 1, but 2 heat sources orbiting each other inside the same coma. Twin cores, synchronized like gears. And that wasn't the only signal. The Deep Space Network detected radio pulses matching the same 9-hour rhythm. They weren't strong enough to carry information, but they were consistent across multiple detectors. A rock can't do that. Ice doesn't emit structured radio bursts. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. This wasn't coincidence. This was coordination. Three separate bodies, all behaving in ways that defied natural motion, all following one another through the same invisible corridor. Then came the fourth object. It didn't glow. It didn't flare. It didn't even reflect light. Astronomers only found it by noticing the absence of background stars, a black silhouette moving across the cosmos. When radar finally locked on, they realized it wasn't a comet at all. It was solid, metallic, and spinning once every 9 hours. The same rhythm again. It was labeled 2024 YR4, but its composition wasn't typical of space rock. It contained nickel, cobalt, and iridium, materials found in engineered alloys, not natural debris. Even more disturbing, its path wasn't being bent by the sun's gravity, the way a natural asteroid should be. It moved with eerie precision, maintaining a constant velocity as if under control. The smallest, darkest, quietest object. And yet it led the formation. When scientists overlaid the trajectories, the randomness vanished. The four bodies were moving in perfect geometric resonance, forming symmetrical shapes that repeated every few days. When their paths were simulated backward through time, they all converged on the same region, a patch of interstellar space beyond the heliopause, where the solar wind fades and gravity flattens into silence. Nothing exists there. Nothing ever has. Yet 4 separate travelers emerged from that very void, each carrying the same rhythm. NASA's internal term for it was synchronous resonance. ESA called it interobject correlation. But the classified language was simpler. Coordinated entry. Origin unknown. By early October, all 4 objects entered what's called the orbital window, the point where their paths cross Earth's orbit. None were expected to collide, but their proximity was unlike anything recorded. At first, it was breathtaking. The green wanderer's glow could be seen by the naked eye. Comet Lemon stretched its tail across the horizon. Atlas pulsed faintly, visible even to backyard telescopes. But beauty turned to unease as Earth's atmosphere began to react. Magnetometers started picking up faint surges in the geomagnetic field, small at first, then rhythmic, following the exact same 9-hour pattern. Satellites reported static bursts. Auroras appeared over regions that hadn't seen them in centuries. And yet, the sun was completely calm. No solar flares, no coronal storms. Whatever was causing this energy wave wasn't coming from the sun. It was coming from the objects themselves. Infrared maps revealed faint heat signatures linking the 4 comets, a thread of ionized dust forming a glowing line across the sky. It was as if the corridor between them had become active. Some scientists called it a resonant plasma bridge. Others dismissed it as coincidence. But when the pattern repeated, exact timing, exact frequency, even the skeptics ran out of explanations. It looked like communication, not a message, not a language, but synchronization, as though 4 independent objects were sharing energy through an invisible medium. And for the first time, some researchers began to whisper a word that hadn't been used in any official statement: artificial. Then, just as suddenly as they had appeared, they were gone. Within hours after the last object passed the moon's orbit, every signal went silent. Optical telescopes saw nothing. Radar readings flattened into static. It wasn't a fade-out, it was a cutoff. Every object disappeared at the exact same timestamp. Agencies told the public they'd moved beyond detection range, but leaked data said otherwise. The tracking corridor itself, the invisible gravitational channel, dissolved right after, as if the entire system had shut down. Some astronomers quietly called it termination. Others believed they'd entered stealth, hidden behind a magnetic veil. Whatever the truth, one line from a redacted NASA memo sums it up best: sequence complete. No residual targets. Source: unknown. In the weeks that followed, faint energy ripples were recorded across deep space radio networks, soft repeating pulses at the same 9-hour frequency, almost like an echo fading into silence. Were those just remnants of charged dust, or traces of a network handshake between something we still don't understand? 4 bodies, 4 different compositions, one perfect rhythm. If that's nature, then nature just outperformed engineering. If it's not, then we might have just witnessed the first coordinated interstellar arrival ever recorded by humankind. And it didn't just pass by Earth. It looked at Earth. So what really happened out there? 4 cosmic travelers, moving as one, then vanishing the instant they crossed Earth's orbit. Natural alignment or something watching, measuring, maybe testing us. The data says rhythm. The instinct says design. And if this was only phase 1, what comes next? One thing's certain. Space is no longer quiet. Every signal, every pattern could mean more than we think. And that's why we'll keep digging, connecting the dots, and revealing the truths hidden between the stars. If this story made you question what's really happening out there, drop your thoughts below. I want to hear your theory. Like, share, and subscribe to Galactic Breaking News so you don't miss what's coming next. The next signal could already be on its way. NASA just witnessed something that shouldn't be possible. 3I/ATLAS, once dismissed as a harmless interstellar comet, suddenly fired metal straight toward the sun. The data showed engineered nickel compounds, the kind used in human aerospace, not natural dust. So why is a cosmic object acting like it understands thrust and heat control? Natural phenomenon, or alien precision at work? Let's dive right in. When the first readings came in from the James Webb Telescope, nobody believed them. The data showed that 3I/ATLAS wasn't just reflecting sunlight, it was firing metal toward it. To most astronomers, that idea sounded insane. A comet is supposed to melt, not fight back. Yet the spectrographic traces were undeniable. Nickel compounds, the kind that only appear inside industrial furnaces, were streaming directly toward the sun. At first, everyone assumed it was a measurement error, but then came the confirmation. Not from one observatory, but 3. Hubble saw it, Keck saw it, Webb saw it. And all of them agreed this wasn't dust or gas. It was nickel tetracarbonyl, a compound humans use to plate and harden metals in aerospace engineering. It doesn't form by accident. It forms through process, controlled pressure, specific temperature, and chemical precision. That discovery forced an uncomfortable question. Could something beyond Earth understand metallurgy? The behavior of 3I/ATLAS shattered everything scientists thought they knew about comets. Normally, when a comet nears the sun, ice turns to vapor and gets pushed outward, creating the iconic glowing tail. But 3I/ATLAS refused to follow the script. Instead of ejecting gas away, it was shooting dense material toward the sun like